It has been a while. So much has happened. I heard about, it's been maybe like 2 weeks or so now, I heard about the young lady, Miss Universe of Jamaica, passed. And she supposedly committed suicide. She supposedly committed suicide. A little bit of from what I seen, and I was supposed to make this video I was supposed to post a video about this young lady about a week ago, and I did not. And I'm so happy I did not, because it was more to the story that I didn't quite know. You know, it was so much more that I didn't quite know. But I looked at this video highlighting, and I also went on her brief YouTube page that she had, and I looked at some of her videos for myself. It seems as though the young lady was overwhelmed with life. She was just at the tender age of 26 years old. Anybody who is over 30 years old know that for some reason, I would say 21, 25, and then right at 30. 30 is very life-changing, because the things that you thought that you knew at 21, the things that you thought you knew at 25, at 30, you will find out that, oh my gosh, it's so much more that I did not know, and it's so much more that I'm figuring out, and it's so much more that I want to know. But anyway, I need to make this quick. The young lady was 26 years old. Seems like she was very overwhelmed with life. After graduating from university and going into a career, it seems as though she had so many questions about life. Are we just working just to pay bills and live? You know, how do people escape poverty? Are some of us born just to be in poverty? Poor people, like, how do they escape? How do they escape the vicious life cycle? She had so many questions. It seems as though she had no one that she was speaking to about it, because she said that YouTube could be an outlet, I think is what she said. But she also highlighted that, okay, I'm not going to say that to the end, right? So she was having so many different suspicions at her job, her career, and at her workplace. She had so many different suspicions, thinking that people at work were either out to get her, or there was some conspiracy behind the scenes that she knew nothing about, but somehow others did, right? She decided to get into the church. She decided to go back to church, and somehow the pastor and the supervisor at her job was the same person. Somehow, right? So that was something that really stood out to me, and that's something that it seemed like she was fixated on. And she said there was this theory that she had about religion and God, and how, you know, is it all just a distraction, or is it something to keep us in the system? Is it something to control us? And it seemed like she questioned God a lot, which, you know, in the Bible, God does not like that. You know, it's not like this is someone who does not believe in God. She believes in God, but she got to the point of frustration to where she started questioning God. And if you know anything about stories in the Bible, or about reading the Bible and about God, you will know that God does not like doubt, and he does not like you to question him. If you know anything about the story of Job, baby, when God read Job his rights, baby, and went down the list, do you know who I am? Is it you that raised the sun and the moon? Is it you that feed the ravens? Is it you that created all of this? Okay? Went off. Okay? So God do not like us questioning him. That's number one. That's going to give you, that's a really quick way, and that's one reason, that's one way to let the enemy give him authority into your life, right? Give him an open door into your life, right? Different sins, or different times of us not walking in holy righteousness, is what allows the enemy, or if God simply okayed the enemy to test us, is what opens the door for the enemy to come in your life and raise havoc, right? So it seems like this young lady, her mental was being challenged. Her mental health was being challenged in ways that she could not even describe or explain. And let me say this thing. I don't think that it's not that. She kept saying that, I don't know, I can't even explain it, or I can't even, like, I don't have words to put to it. I think when you're trying, I don't think that she couldn't explain it, because she seems like she is someone who can articulate herself quite fine, right? I don't think it's that she couldn't find the words. I think that she was trying to not say certain things, if you know what I mean. Trying not to say certain things, so that would seem like somebody cannot articulate themselves, right? But y'all, I'm just reading off of some notes that I have here. Oftentimes we hear the slogan, only the strong will survive, right? Only the strong will survive. And her situation is a perfect example of that. Only the strong will survive. You think that girl was the only person dealing with that? That had questions and had looking at life, looking at her life, looking at the world, and seeing the bigger picture of life. You know, a lot of us have watched the movie Matrix. Seeing the Matrix, and sometimes when you first discover it, right, it's a lot to take in. Sometimes when you first discover the Matrix, it's a lot to take in. That's why only the strong, that's why we often heard only the strong will survive. Oftentimes it's a lot to take in. And that's why we got the mental facilities. That's why we have these different people who seem like they have lost it, but there's so many different reasons why somebody have lost it. You understand what I'm saying? Anyways, that's why, like, if I could have only talked to the girl, I would have told her, like, hey, you're not the only one. Other people have had these times and moments in their lives as well. You have to get grounded. Questioning God while still living in your sin, because she would talk about like different exes and living in the world, going back to fornication, smoking weed, all of these things. That sin is what gives the enemy a legal right to your life. Yes, the world, we cannot escape the evils of the world. The world is the world. The world gonna whirl, okay? And my God, God gonna God. If you know, you know. God is going to God. So long story short, I would have told her to be grounded. Like, whatever that looks like to you, keep and hold your peace. I have been meditating on Exodus 14, 13, and 14 lately. Hold your peace. These same Egyptians that you see today, you will see them no more. You will see them no more, and the Lord will fight for you. The Lord will fight for you. So this is things that I did not, of course I grew up in the church, but these are things that learning now that I'm able to tell somebody like her. Read your Bible, get to know God for yourself, because you have all of these questions and you have this church hurt. All of a sudden this pastor is the same supervisor at your job and you have all these theories. It is not people. People is always going to fall short. Man will always fall short. It is God, baby. It's God that you have to hold on to, because she already believed in God. So get to know him more. Get to know him on a level of, okay, so why would he allow all of these things? Okay, get to know truth. In a state of confusion, that's when you should try to find truth even more, because you're going to try to conjure up your own truth, which is the beginning of finding truth. From there, we need to do legit research. We need to find out. We need to find out. We don't need to mess around and find out. After you have messed around and find out, you need to find out for real. Okay? So a lot of young people and even grown-ups over 40 is dealing with what that girl is doing. Are they brave enough to make a YouTube page and talk about it? No, they're not. And really, in actuality, she was crying out for help. And I don't know if anybody spoke to her and tried to get her to come back, but it's ultimately the responsibility is hers, right? The responsibility is hers. And I pray to God she did not commit suicide. And I pray to God that they do find out what exactly happened if they haven't already. But I would tell her, don't give so much power to people. People will always fail you, like the pastor and the people at the job. People will always fail you. I want to say that's people's job, but I'm not going to say that. I got some gel right here. Ew. But anyway, people will always fail you. They're human. We have flesh. So flesh is not perfect. But you know who not going to fail you? God not going to fail you. So trust in God and not man. I will also tell her that. And also, we are responsible for our own happiness. I would tell her, nobody is going to come and give you happiness. Nobody's going to come now and pour happiness into you. Somebody might do that, but whose responsibility is to keep it? At the end of the day, it's your responsibility to have joy, to have peace in spite of, to grow in spite of. And I will also tell her to know to trust God. I already said that. That's where you will find freedom in hopelessness. You don't think that everybody has experienced hopelessness before? People have experienced hopelessness, but what separates the people who go bonkers, that are homeless on the streets and in the mental facilities and God forbid in jail or suicidal, what separates them from other people is not that the other people are so special, no, is because they have learned to ground themselves, and they have learned what makes me keep and hold my peace. And for some people, that's different reasons. It's so icy. For some people, that's different things, right? Some people work out. Some people have hobbies, and they hone into that, right? But for you, you have to find and hold your peace. And recreational use of weed, recreational use of cannabis, which she was indulging in, and she was saying, okay, I'm back doing this thing, that is going to only make you have more and more conspiracies. That's going to make the fear amp up. I've been there, done that. I'm not just saying something that out of my behind. I've been there, done that. That's going to amp up the fear, and that's going to amp up the legal rights that the enemy will have over your life. Get to know God for yourself, not who you think he is, not who you think he is, not who other people has told you he is, not who your mammy told you he is, not who your mom and daddy and grandma told you who he is, not who the church people told you who he is. Get to know God for yourself. That's what's going to help you. If you believe in God. Now, if you don't believe in God and you atheist, baby, I don't have the advice for that. But if you believe in God, and if you are atheist, I do have some advice. You need to come into agreement with truth. That's the advice I got for y'all. And also, I wanted to tell her, I would want to tell somebody like her too, to find your purpose. Finding who God created you to be. Finding who God created you to be and finding your purpose, I would tell her she should also find that out. Because she kept saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I don't know. Yeah, if you don't have nothing to live for, if you don't know what you're doing here, that will be depressing. That will make you, there's so many different reasons to be depressed, but that is one. That is one. If you don't know what you're here for, you don't know who you're here for, you don't know what it is you're supposed to be doing, you need to find your purpose. And you can find that by asking God. I'm going to say that, asking God. It might sound crazy to you all up until he answers you one day. All up until he leads you to the clues of an answer one day. Okay? It might sound crazy. All up until you try it. Ask God. Search deep in yourself and trust the things that you are good at. That's where you also find your purpose. Trust the things that the reason why I say trust the things that you are good at is because oftentimes, a lot of times, what she was saying anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Oftentimes, a lot of times, some people may try to come and discourage you in something that you know you're good at. Something that you know that you are purposed for. Don't let them do that. Don't let them do that, baby. Trust the purpose and the gifts that God has placed inside of you. The talents that God has placed on the inside of you. And focus on that. Nurture that. And go from there. That will make your life more purposeful. It will make your life more enjoyable. And oftentimes, a lot of people say when they have children, that's when they find purpose. But you should have purpose even before you have kids. if anything, having children should help you find your purpose, but your purpose also should not be wrapped up in your children, or if you are married, your husband. Okay? That's not purpose. That is part of your purpose, but it's something that God specifically made you for, created you for. Specifically, it's specifically something that he had in mind before he placed you in your mother's womb. And that's what you need to get. You need to get to find that out. And that's where happiness, you also find happiness and fulfillment in that. That's what I would tell the young lady. And I also would tell her to allow the Holy Spirit to guide her in that, in finding that. And don't trust, I already said that. Okay, so that's all the notes that I have, y'all. Listen. Y'all. This is what I was saying. I'm going to say later. The girl daddy was a Freemason, y'all. He was a Freemason. And she also had her conspiracies about that. And then also one thing she mentioned was she had her conspiracies about that in terms of the rich and whether or not the poor has a job even before they were born to fulfill. Yeah, that was one of her questions. Another thing she mentioned was, a couple of ex-boyfriends, but she said this one in particular, it was a really, really bad relationship going nowhere quickly. And how she knows the guy to be somebody who would want to win at all costs. Even the fact of going as far as spiritually manipulating people, places, or things to get what he wants. And she would not doubt it if he has done something to her. Y'all, meanwhile, after this girl's death and suicide, she's Jamaican. Meanwhile, Jamaica around the same time is going back and forth with the notion or the idea of decriminalizing obia. You can't make this stuff up. So I think it's a combination of everything and everyone that she mentioned. I think that girl made just enough YouTube videos to have let people who do not know her scenario know her situation. I think she was smart enough to do that. And I really pray she did not commit suicide, because God would not want us to do that. Okay? God would not want us to do that. And it's also spiritual warfare that you are allowing to win. You understand? I want to say it's weak. It's weak. Only the strong will survive. It may not look like you surviving to other people, but just the fact that you are having hope that I'm going to wake up. The fact that I woke up today, I'm going to try again today. That's strength. It may not look like it to other people, but that's strength in itself, right? But y'all, stay encouraged and stay blessed. This young lady's situation really shook me up. And it's just a lot. It's a lot that people be experiencing on a day-to-day basis that they may not share with others that they are going through, but they are. You understand? They are going through it. So, and everybody kept saying, oh, she was so beautiful and she still committed suicide. What does that mean, that you're so beautiful but you still committed suicide? What? Sometimes the most beautiful people is the ones that be having problems, baby. You know the amount of jealousy they experience? The amount of jealousy they experience alone sometimes could be so defeating. Could be so defeating and so, so defeating. But nevertheless, I want to say, if you are going through, and I'm speaking to y'all as I speak to myself, that's the whole point of my channel. As I grow, hopefully, I can, someone else can look at my situations and they can look at my life and they can also grow or be encouraged by at least one thing that I have said. I would want to say, stay encouraged. Do not let the stresses of life bring you down, bring you to the point of suicidal. Don't let nobody she kept talking about an ex-boyfriend. Baby, don't let nobody dirty son. Don't let no bad mind person ever get you to the point of suicide, baby. Of suicide, or even like questioning yourself, questioning the God that you serve, questioning your life and everything that God has purposed you for. Do not get to that point, y'all. Do not get to the point. I am praying for you. Just know that, again, trust God and not man. If you feel like don't nobody love you, God love you. That's enough to hang on to. The person that created you and the whole world loves you, wants the best for you, will absolutely use your mess as a testimony. He wants to use your mess as a testimony so he can get the glory in your life. Let him. Let him. Let him, baby. It doesn't matter what you think or... Oh, I have some makeup right here. It doesn't matter what you think or anybody else think. Let him. Let him get the glory in your life. Let him. He wants to use all of that. It's no way that God... I always say it's no way that God will ever put you through any of that. If he has control to not let you go through that stuff, it's no reason why he would allow all that stuff to happen in your life if he don't want the glory out of it. Let him get the glory. And how you let him get the glory is repent from your sin, turn away from your wicked ways, be forever changed, and always share what you've been through with somebody else. Don't be afraid to share what you've been through to someone else. You never know how it can strengthen somebody. You never know how they can find courage in your story. You never know. You might think, why me? Me, really? Yes, somebody can find strength and courage in you. Little old you. They might pretend not to, but it's not for them. It's for somebody else. That's the old gag. It's not for them. It's for somebody else. It's nothing else to it. But be encouraged. And God's glory shines upon your life. Even if you don't see it. It does.